Today, we're kicking off a 3-day series called Overcoming the Odds.
This is good. We'll feature some amazing people who have had to devise some big hurdles in their lives to make it to the top of their game.
And we're starting with someone you've seen on the show many times, the celebrity trainer behind such A-listers as Justin Timberlake, Kate Upton, and Chelsea Handler.
We're talking about Bruno.
He's a trainer to some of the hottest bodies in Hollywood.
I feel like I'm in labor.
And some of the top athletes in sports.
Nice set.
He got Justin Timberlake in shape for his Super Bowl halftime performance. And he's been named Most Innovative Trainer by Men's Health magazine. But how Bruno got here is a story of struggle, determination, and inspiration.
When I was 9, my dad committed suicide, and it was obviously a very big turning point in my life. And it still, to this day, probably shapes who I am in a lot of ways. My whole life, he struggled with depression, and I saw the struggle. I had a really hard time understanding why he did that. I had a really hard time feeling like the world sort of had it out for me. It felt very unfair. Personally, I was dealing with a lot of demons, and I didn't care one bit about school when I started. I had a lot of misplaced anger, and I actually did 9th grade twice, and then it clicked when I got to 10th grade that if I kept acting in that way, I was really only hurting myself.
It was 10th grade where Ben met a mentor who took him under her wing.
I was very fortunate. My last 3 years of high school, I had a Rhodes Scholar for an English teacher. Her name was Nancy Coiner, and I used to go and meet with her for hours outside of class, and I just really wanted to become a writer. Once I got my act together, I went from 2 years of horrible grades to 3 years of really great grades.
And with a very strong essay, Ben got into Columbia University.
I basically explained why I did poorly in the beginning and what shifted mentally in my life that I started utilizing my potential. So I applied to like 15 schools and got rejected from every single one except Columbia. Now I was lucky enough that they let me in.
With a new sense of purpose, Ben was thriving in college until intense back pain began to derail his studies.
I actually wet my bed twice in a 1-week span, and that's a real red flag to doctors. So that's when they determined that I needed to do back surgery immediately. Right when I woke up from the surgery, I was still in tremendous pain, worse than before. I lost feeling in my right foot. I couldn't drive. I couldn't sit for hardly any time, so I couldn't be in school. I couldn't really walk a lot, so I had to take a medical leave.
Ben then moved home with his mom and started physical therapy, and while he tried numerous routines, nothing seemed to be working.
My back surgery was probably the lowest point of my life. I got very depressed, and I just didn't want to wake up in the morning.
But the worst part of his life became the best part when he was introduced to strength training.
Strength training changed my life. As I got stronger, I felt better. I realized that training was my best therapy, where most people take painkillers or do drugs. I would just work out all the time.
Ben decided to make his new passion into a career and got his foot in the door at a local gym where he learned from Michael Boyle, a top expert in sports performance training.
One more on each side.
With his love of writing, Ben chronicled his experiences with a blog that ultimately helped build his professional reputation.
Starting my own training business was probably one of the hardest decisions I ever made because I was very nervous, but it was also the best decision I ever made, hands down.
Through hard work and word of mouth, Ben began amassing celebrity clients.
Nice set. My training philosophy is that you get out what you put in, because it doesn't matter how rich you are or how famous you are. If you want to get in shape, you have to put in the work.
And with his success, Ben champions his mom as the source.
I've never really been somebody to put celebrities or athletes or anything on a pedestal, but my mom is my one and only hero in life.
Perfect.
I'm doing what makes me happy.
Nice.
I think the cool part about life is where you start doesn't have to be where you finish. The way to change that narrative is through a lot of hard work.
And with Ben's hard work, his name is as well known as some of the stars he sculpts. He's been featured in Women's Health, Shape, Vogue, and Sports Illustrated.
For those of you that are in a place where you just feel like the world is against you, I think the real key needs to be action. If you want to succeed in life, you just have to put in the work, and you have to apply yourself, and that's just it.
Thanks to Ben's philosophy, many people are walking around Bruno strong.
Nice up, Katie.
I love
story,
him.
right?
That's awesome.
Look at my Bruno Strong t-shirt. So check out our Overcoming the Odds series online. Go to klgandhoda.com.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.